So, I want to start today with a bit of a specific diagnostic, if you will, a vibe check.
Mm-hmm.
But not, the kind where you just nod and say, I'm good. I want you to actually, for a second, scan the texture of your life right now.
We're not talking about the big picture here.
No, not the career highlights, not your relationship status on paper. I mean the minute-to-minute sensory experience of just existence.
The granular stuff, like the feeling of the air in the room, the hum of the electronics around you, that sort of background noise inside your own head.
Exactly. Because if you're living what we'd call a standard modern life, if you're anything like me, the answer to how are things is almost always fine.
Right.
Things are fine. You probably have a mattress that was delivered in a box. You have streaming services with, libraries so vast you literally couldn't watch them in 10 lifetimes. You have apps that can bring you any kind of food, and you can track the driver on a little map right to your door.
Everything is optimized. Everything is smooth.
It is. It's what you might call the golden age of fine.
That's a good way to put it. We've basically engineered friction out of almost every part of daily survival. You don't hunt. You don't gather. You barely even have to wait for things anywhere.
Right. It's this absolute miracle of logistics. But here's the catch, and this is the specific, nagging itch we're trying to scratch in this deep dive. If everything is so comfortable, if all the friction is gone, why is there this persistent, low-level hum of anxiety?
Mm-hmm.
Why does fine feel so remarkably unsettled?
That is the core paradox, isn't it? We have everything we thought we wanted, but we don't have the one thing we actually need.
We've confused being comfortable with being at peace.
Completely.
We operate under this huge assumption that if we just buy the right noise-canceling headphones or optimize our evening routine to the second or find the perfect show to binge, then we'll finally be able to exhale.
That the solution to stress is just more softness, more ease.
Yes. But the source material we're looking at today, it suggests that's not just a mistake, it's a lie.
It's actually worse than a lie. It's a trap. The source we're unpacking is this really dense philosophical piece from QofeBreak 21. It's titled The Distinction Between Comfort and Peace.
Okay.
And its central argument is so counterintuitive to everything, the modern economy tells us. It suggests that modern life is designed to offer endless comfort, an absolute flood of it, but that this very abundance is the specific mechanism that's pulling us away from real calm.
Wow, that is a massive claim. Because we usually think of comfort and peace as synonyms, I'm comfortable, therefore I must be peaceful.
Concisely. We just conflate the two entirely. But this whole deep dive, we're going to argue that they're often opposites.
Opposites.
Yeah, that comfort is about numbing out, while peace is about settling in. And here's the part that really, it just stops you in your tracks. The source claims that true peace actually requires discomfort to achieve.
Which is a really hard sell. Nobody wants to hear that the solution is more discomfort.
Of course not.
We spend all our disposable income specifically to delete discomfort from our lives. We pay extra for more legroom. We pay for ad-free streaming.
Which is exactly why we remain so unsettled. We're buying the wrong medicine.
So our mission for this hour is to really dissect this distinction. We're going to look at the mechanics of what it means to numb out versus what it means to settle in. And I want to be super clear right from the start because I know how this can sound.
Mm-hmm.
We are not talking about becoming a monk here. This isn't about selling your car, throwing away your phone, and, moving to a yurt in the mountains.
No, absolutely not. This is not a call for asceticism or some kind of extreme minimalism. We live in the modern world. That's fine.
This is just a grounded sort of analytical look at why we feel so restless even when we have everything we need. We want to understand the mechanics of why that Sunday night dread kicks in, even after a weekend of, quote unquote, relaxing.
Right.
So let's start with the first big concept from the source, the anatomy of comfort.
Let's get into it. Because to really understand the trap, you have to understand the bait.
The source leads with the statement that it seems obvious, but it really needs unpacking. It just says, comfort is easy to find.
And it is.
In our era, comfort isn't some luxury. It's the default setting.
It's the water we swim in. If you just think about the trajectory of human evolution, for, 99% of our history, the biological imperative was to seek comfort.
Right, you had to find it.
You had to expend massive amounts of energy and calories to find warmth, to find soft ground, to find safety from predators. The struggle was the acquisition of comfort. But in our modern context, and specifically the Western industrialized world this source is talking about, comfort is Well, it's aggressive.
Aggressive comfort. I like that. It's an oxymoron, but it feels so accurate.
It is aggressive. Think about it. If you just sit still in a modern city, what happens? Advertisements are screaming at you to eat this, watch that, buy this. You open your phone, and algorithms are aggressively trying to serve you content that will soothe you or entertain you.
The default state is consumption.
Yes. You don't have to seek it out. You have to actively fend it off if you don't want it.
The source breaks this down into three main pillars. These are sort of the delivery mechanisms for this aggressive comfort. And the first one, probably the biggest one, is distraction.
Distraction is the most pervasive, for sure. And the source makes this one crucial distinction here that really, it blew my mind. It says that distraction mimics engagement.
Mimics engagement. What does that mean?
Well, think about the neurochemistry of what's happening when you're scrolling through social media or watching a string of, short videos. It feels like you're doing something.
Right. My brain is firing. I'm seeing new information. I'm learning a 5-second recipe I'll never cook. I'm seeing a political hot take. I'm seeing a cute dog video. It feels active.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're constantly stimulating your orienting reflex. Oh, look at that. Now look at this. Now this. It feels like engagement with the world. You're seeing news, friends, entertainment. But it's a mimicry. It's a passive consumption that just keeps the brain spinning, specifically those dopamine reward loops, without ever actually engaging the self.
So it's the illusion of agency. I can sit on my phone for 2 hours, and I feel like I've done a lot because I've processed, gigabytes of visual data, but physically, emotionally, I haven't moved.
You haven't moved, you haven't created anything, you haven't connected with anyone deeply, you've been occupied, but you haven't been engaged. And that's the comfort part of it. It's comfortable to be distracted because it requires zero output from you. It's pure input. It's like a feeding tube for the mind. You don't have to chew, you just have to swallow.
Okay, so then we have the second pillar, which I think is maybe even more insidious because we see it as a virtue. Convenience. The whole friction-free lifestyle.
Right. Convenience is how we mimic ease. We have this idea that peace means things are easy. So if I can order dinner with one press of my thumb, or I can have a package dropped at my door in 2 hours, that feels like ease.
Sure.
But the source argues that this removal of all friction doesn't actually calm us down. It just accelerates our internal clock.
How so? Because theoretically, saving time should give me more time to relax. That's the sales pitch.
That is the theory. But in practice, what it does is it creates an expectation of immediacy for everything.
Yeah.
When you remove friction from 90% of your life, the remaining 10%, which is usually, actual reality,
Like other people.
chuckles.
Cross.
Yes, like relationships
Sure.
or learning a new skill or dealing with bureaucracy, that 10% starts to feel unbearable.
That explains so much. Like the rage I feel if a web page takes 3 seconds to load now.
Exactly.
10 years ago, that would have been a miracle of speed. Now it feels like a personal insult.
That rage is the byproduct of hyperconvenience. You have lost your tolerance for the natural pace of the world. The very technology that was sold to you as comfort has actually just lowered your threshold for frustration.
So we're becoming emotionally atrophied.
In a way, yes.
Yeah.
Because we never have to lift the heavy weight of patience anymore.
And the third pillar is familiar routines. Now, this one seems safer, right? I mean, routine is usually sold as a really good thing. We're told to have a morning routine, a night routine.
And routine is great for productivity, no question. But the way the source frames this is as predictability mimicking safety. We stick to these same loops. Wake up, check the phone, coffee, commute, work, commute, TV, sleep. And there is a deep primal comfort in that because the brain is a prediction machine. If it knows what's coming next, it burns less energy, it feels safe.
But there has to be a downside to that safety.
The downside is sleepwalking. The source argues that when we stick too strictly to these friction-free familiar routines, it's really a way of ensuring we never have to encounter anything that might challenge us or wake us up.
You're just putting your consciousness on cruise control.
Exactly. And you wake up at 70 years old and realize you've just lived the same day 25,000 times.
Okay, so we have distraction, convenience, and routine. And the source uses this phrase that really stuck with me, the illusion of soothing. It says these things feel soothing in the moment. And I think we have to grant that in the moment they do work.
They absolutely work. We have to give the devil his due here. If I'm feeling stressed about a project deadline, opening Instagram and just scrolling for 10 minutes, it does give me a hit of dopamine. It lowers my cortisol for that specific window of time.
For sure.
If I'm feeling lonely, turning on a familiar sitcom makes me feel like I'm in a room with friends. It absolutely acts like a balm.
A balm implies it's treating something, though. like putting aloe on a sunburn.
Or just covering it. The source argues these things act as a painkiller, not a cure.
A painkiller, not a cure. I like that.
If you have a broken leg and you take a massive dose of opioids, you'll feel fine. You might even feel really comfortable. But your leg is still structurally compromised. The bone is still snapped in half.
So distraction and convenience, they just mask the noise of our internal lives. They don't actually turn the noise off.
They just drown it out with a different, louder frequency.
And because modern comfort is, as the source says, endless, the internet never closes, the delivery apps never stop, the streaming service has autoplay, we never have to let that painkiller wear off.
You never have to. You can just keep redosing.
That's the trap.
That is the trap. You can wake up and immediately turn on a podcast. You can listen to music on your commute. You can be checking emails all day long. You can watch TV until you literally pass out. You can effectively go 24/7 without ever having a single moment of uncurated silence.
You can maintain that soothing sensation indefinitely until the side effects kick in, which leads us perfectly into our second section, the symptom, because the source identifies a very specific feeling that arises from this overdose of comfort.
Right.
It calls it a lingering sense of restlessness underneath.
This is the physiological reality of the Sunday scaries.
Okay, let's drill down into that because I think everyone listening has felt this. Logically, if I spend Saturday and Sunday doing only things that are comfortable, sleeping in, eating high-calorie comfort food, binge-watching a show, I should be the most relaxed person on earth by Sunday night.
You should be fully recharged.
I've exerted no effort, but I'm usually not. I'm usually anxious and drained and feeling this weird existential dread. Why is that?
It's that gap between sensory comfort and internal peace. When you spend the weekend numbing out, which is what those activities often are, you are actively suppressing your internal state.
Suppressing it.
You're not processing your week. You're not checking in with yourself. You're not resolving any of the tension from that argument you had with your boss or that project you messed up. You're just hitting the pause button on all of it.
So when the distraction finally stops, or even just slows down a little bit because I have to go to bed, all that suppressed stuff is still there.
Not only is it still there, it has accumulated pressure. Think of it like trying to hold a beach ball underwater.
Okay.
It takes constant effort to hold it down, even if you don't realize you're doing it.
Sure.
Your muscles are tensed. That lingering restlessness the source talks about, that's the beach ball trying to surface. It's straining against your grip.
So you feel restless because deep down, you know you haven't actually rested. You've just been hiding.
You've been hiding, exactly.
Hiding is a really interesting word there. And this brings us to the central duality of the whole text, and I think this is the framework that everyone really needs to hear. The distinction between numbing out and settling in.
This is the critical separation. The source defines numbing out as using comfort to mute the world.
Mute the world.
It's a passive state. It's about pushing reality away. When you are numbing out, you are trying to make the world smaller and quieter and less demanding. You are retreating into the bunker. You're putting up the blast shields.
Okay, so that's numbing out. What about settling in?
Settling in is defined as arriving in the present moment. It's active. It accepts reality. When you settle in, you aren't trying to change the channel on your life. You are actually just sitting in the chair, feeling your body, acknowledging your thoughts, and being present with whatever is actually happening, good or bad.
Let's use a concrete example to make this really stick. I want you to picture this. I'm sitting on my couch. Scenario A, I'm scrolling through TikToks for an hour. Scenario B, I'm just sitting there, maybe looking out the window, maybe reading a book very slowly, or honestly just staring at the wall. Physically, I look almost identical in both scenarios. I'm a body on a couch.
Right.
But the source says these are opposite neurobiological states.
Completely opposite. In scenario A, scrolling, you are being bombarded with input. Your brain is reacting, judging, comparing, laughing, getting angry.
Yeah.
You are occupied.
Occupied.
You are numbing the self by flooding it with the other. You are effectively absent from your own room. You aren't on a couch, you're in the cloud.
And scenario B, just sitting there.
In scenario B, sitting and looking out the window, there is no external flood of information. You have to sit with your own thoughts. You have to notice that, oh, your back hurts a little, or that you're worried about that email you sent yesterday, or that you feel a bit bored.
And that is settling in.
That's it. You are arriving at the truth of your current experience. You're fully inhabiting your body and your location in space and time.
And that right there explains why scenario B is so much harder.
Infinitely harder, because it forces you to inhabit your actual life rather than a curated, simulated version of life. And real life is often, a little bit boring or itchy or sad.
Which takes us to the most provocative claim in the entire source. I love this part because it just challenges the entire self-care industry, which is usually trying to sell us, bath bombs and weighted blankets.
Right.
The source says, true peace often requires discomfort first.
Yes.
Okay.
Requires, not is helped by. Requires. It's a prerequisite. It is not an optional side quest.
But that feels like such a paradox. If I want peace, why do I need discomfort? If comfort is the enemy, does that mean I have to be miserable all the time to be peaceful?
No, no, it's not about masochism. It's about withdrawal.
Withdrawal.
Let's just follow the logic. If comfort is numbing out, then peace requires waking up. And waking up is jarring. If you've been asleep for a long time in a dark room, the light hurts your eyes. Your limbs feel stiff and heavy.
Right.
The blood rushing back into your arm after it's fallen asleep is painful.
Yeah.
It's that pins and needles feeling. The process of resensitizing is uncomfortable.
So the discomfort isn't the goal itself, but it's the gateway.
It is the gateway, exactly. The source talks about breaking those familiar routines. When you decide to break a routine, let's say you decide not to turn on the TV the second you walk in the door after work. What happens immediately in that moment?
Oh, the silence is deafening. I feel awkward. I don't know what to do with my hands. I immediately start thinking about all the chores I haven't done. I feel this intense urge to check my phone just to give my hands something to do.
That feeling right there, that is the discomfort, that is the friction, and that is the price of admission for peace.
The price of admission.
The source is arguing that you cannot get to that settled feeling without first passing through that initial layer of awkwardness or boredom or anxiety. You have to be willing to confront the very thing you were using distraction to avoid.
It's like cleaning a really messy closet. To get it organized, which is the state of peace, you first have to pull everything out and make a huge, chaotic mess on the floor.
That is a perfect analogy. Comfort is just shoving everything back into the closet and slamming the door quickly so you don't have to see it. It looks clean from the outside. It's comfortable, but you know it's a disaster in there. Peace is the messy, irritating, tedious process of pulling everything out, sorting through it, and putting it back in order. The sorting process is uncomfortable. It looks worse before it looks better. But the result is actual structural order, not just the appearance of it.
This leads right into another major point the source makes about the cost of peace. It says, peace takes intention. It argues that comfort runs on autopilot, but peace requires agency.
This is such a crucial distinction, and it's all about willpower. You do not have to try to get distracted in the modern world.
No,
The algorithms are smarter than you. They will find you. The convenience is built into the infrastructure of your city. If you do nothing, if you just float downstream, the current will take you to Comfort Island. You will be distracted and fed and entertained by default.
So nobody just stumbles into peace by accident.
Never. You will never, ever accidentally find yourself in a state of deep, settled peace while you're mindlessly tapping on your screen. You have to make an active choice. You have to say, I'm going to put the phone down now. I am going to sit in this chair and not do anything for 10 minutes. I'm going to cook a meal from scratch, even though it's going to take longer. Peace is an act of resistance.
It's an act of resistance against the flow of modern life.
Yes.
And that's why it feels like work, because it is work. We so often think, oh, I'm too tired to seek peace. I'll just seek comfort instead.
Right. I'm exhausted from my day. I just want to zone out. And that's valid. We are not saying you can never zone out. Sometimes you just need to watch a dumb movie.
Sure.
But what we are saying is
Yeah.
recognize that zoning out is not recharging. It is just pausing the drain.
Yeah.
Peace, which is what actually recharges you, requires that initial expenditure of energy to get it started. It has an activation energy cost.
Okay, let's talk about the payoff, though. Because we're making peace sound like a lot of hard, grinding work. The source makes this great distinction between temporary relief and lasting quiet.
This is the ROI, the return on investment. Comfort offers temporary relief. It works, like we said, but only as long as the stimulus is present. The second the movie ends, the second the pint of ice cream is gone,
Right.
the relief evaporates. It has no shelf life.
Right.
You are immediately hungry for the next thing, the next dose.
It's fleeting. It's like a sugar high.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Peace, however, is described by the source as lasting quiet. Once you have actually settled in, once you've passed through that discomfort and arrived in a state of being truly present, that feeling sustains itself. It creates a reservoir of calm.
So he follows you?
It follows you. If you spend an hour truly settling in, maybe by taking a walk in nature without headphones or journaling or just sitting quietly, that sense of calm follows you into the next hour and maybe even into the next day. It alters your baseline anxiety level.
I want to drill down into the closing dichotomy that the source uses because I think this is so beautiful and just visually evocative. It says, comfort keeps you occupied. Peace lets you breathe.
Occupied versus breathing. It really captures the spatial dynamics of the mind, doesn't it?
It really does. When I hear the word occupied, I think of a bathroom stall. Occupied. Or a seat on a train. It implies that it's taken. There's no room.
Or a country under military occupation, it implies external control, a lack of sovereignty. When your mind is occupied by comfort, it is full. It's full of other people's thoughts from podcasts. It's full of entertainment. It's full of tasks on your to-do list. There's no vacancy.
And if there's no vacancy, there's no room for you.
You are effectively evicted from your own mind by the clutter of comfort.
Wow. Okay. And breathing.
To breathe implies expansion. It implies rhythm. Inhale, exhale. It implies space. You cannot breathe if you're being compressed. Peace gives you the air, the space, to expand back into yourself. It clears the clutter so that the mechanism of your own consciousness can actually function properly again. It restores your sovereignty over your own mind.
But, and here's the kicker that brings us all the way back to the anxiety we started with. We fear that space. We fear the breathing room.
We do. We are terrified of it.
Why? Why do we prefer to be occupied?
Because of what the silence reveals. The source keeps coming back to that restlessness. If you stop being occupied, if you finally create enough space to take a real breath, the first thing you often notice is how tight your chest is. You notice the anxieties you've been successfully ignoring. You notice the dissatisfaction you've been glossing over with entertainment.
So the occupied sign on the door is really a defense mechanism.
It protects us from what we perceive as the void.
This brings us to our last big section, the why. Why do we consistently choose comfort over peace, even when we know, intellectually at least, that peace is better for us? The source has this great line, modern life offers endless comfort while quietly pulling us away from real calm. I'm really interested in that phrase, quietly pulling.
It's so good. It's not a violent shove. It's a drift. It's a gentle current. The modern world doesn't march into your house and demand that you be anxious and distracted.
No.
It just seduces you with the path of least resistance. It just whispers, hey, why cook? It's so much effort. Just order. Why be bored? Just watch this. Why feel sad? Just scroll through this. It's this gentle, constant pull toward the easy thing.
It mimics a mother soothing a child. Here, honey, take this. We'll make you feel better.
Exactly. And we aren't choosing chaos over calm. We think we are choosing calm. That is the great trick of it all.
Right.
We look at comfort and peace from a distance, and they look similar. They both look like not working. They both look like resting. So we just choose the one that's easier to grab. We are being tricked by how similar they feel on the surface.
It's like the difference between high fructose corn syrup and an apple. They are both sweet. They both give you a quick hit of energy, but one of them ultimately crashes your system and the other actually feeds it. Comfort is the high fructose corn syrup of the soul.
That is a fantastic analogy. And we're living in a giant candy store. The nutritional value of our downtime has absolutely plummeted.
So the fear of the void concept we touched on, let's go a little deeper there. The source really implies that the only way to resolve our inner tension is to stop masking it.
If you are constantly occupied, you never have to face the void, which is really just the unvarnished reality of your life, your mortality, your questions about meaning, your insecurities. These are heavy things. It's no wonder we want to be distracted.
Of course.
But the source suggests that the restlessness we feel is actually a signal. It's the check engine light on the dashboard of your life.
Yeah.
And comfort is just putting a little piece of black tape over the light so you don't have to see it.
And peace. Peace is popping the hood to see what's actually wrong with the engine.
Exactly. And popping the hood is scary. You might find something is genuinely broken. You might find out you hate your job, or your relationship is failing, or that you're deeply lonely.
You might.
But you can't fix it if you don't look. And that is why peace is lasting. Because once you pop the hood and you actually fix the wire that was loose, the engine runs smoothly. You don't need the tape anymore. The silence becomes genuine, not forced. You aren't holding the beach ball underwater anymore. You've just let it float away.
This really shifts the whole perspective on what downtime is for. We tend to judge our downtime by how fun it was or how relaxing it felt in the moment. But maybe the better metric is, how much air did it give us?
That's the metric. Did this activity occupy me, or did it let me breathe? Did it fill me up with more noise, or did it clear out some space?
Okay, let's try to synthesize all of this because we've covered a lot of ground. We started with this idea that we're all fine, but fundamentally restless. And we looked at the source from Coffee Break 21 and its core distinction between comfort and peace.
Right. And to just recap the major distinctions for everyone listening, because these are really the tools you can use to diagnose your own life.
Hmm.
First, comfort is external. It relies on things, screens, food, services. Peace is internal. It comes from a state of being.
Right. Second, comfort is passive, it just happens to you. Peace is active and intentional. You have to choose it, often against the gradient of society.
Third, comfort provides temporary relief. It lasts only as long as the distraction does. Peace provides a lasting quiet. It actually sustains itself.
And finally, the big one. Comfort keeps you occupied. Peace lets you breathe.
And the mechanism that connects them all, the toll bridge between those two states, is discomfort.
That's the bridge.
That is the bridge. You cannot cross from the land of comfort to the land of peace without walking over the bridge of discomfort. You have to be willing to endure the initial withdrawal from the drug of distraction to get to the other side.
It's the price of admission.
It is. And it's a price worth paying. Because the alternative is spending your entire life being occupied and then reaching the end and realizing you never actually showed up for your own existence.
That is a terrifying thought, but also kind of motivating.
It should be both. It should be a wake-up call.
So I think the final takeaway for you listening today, we aren't telling you to throw away your TV or delete all your apps. We live in the modern world, and comfort is nice. It is okay to be comfortable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Enjoy the comfort. Just don't mistake it for peace. Know the difference. When you find yourself scrolling, just admit it to yourself. I'm numbing out right now.
That honest labeling all by itself changes the dynamic. It gives you your agency back. You're driving the car again. And when you need real restoration, you have to know that you might have to do the hard thing. You might have to choose silence. You might have to choose the friction of just being bored for a little while.
And trust that on the other side of that boredom is the very breath you've been looking for all along.
I want to leave you with one final thought to carry into your week. This is something to mull over the next time you have a free hour, a free evening.
Look at your downtime this week. And I mean, really look at it. Were you actually resting and breathing, or were you just successfully keeping your brain occupied so that you didn't have to hear your own thoughts?
It's a brave question to ask yourself, but the answer might just change how you spend your Sunday. Thanks for diving deep with us.
See you next time.